Hi, I'm Clara, and it's Spectrum time. Today we have a broad range of stories, from the local drag queen scene to a new generation of good high performers. We'll also take a look at how young Singaporeans are getting into non-traditional hobbies. Speaking of hobbies, remember the days when your parents would hang up your primary school artworks in their office cubicles? Today in our Let's Talk segment, we speak to an artist whose artworks have been featured in public exhibitions. He even sells the products he designs. Drag queens are commonly perceived to be flamboyant, entertaining, and funny. But is their journey always filled with smiles and laughter? For some drag queens, it's for enjoyment. But for others, it's a form of empowerment. And for Easy Kill, better known as Miss Chili, it was not always met with approval.
Not many men in Singapore decide to take on the job as a drag queen. Behind the big hair, long nails, and perceived flamboyance, let's take a closer look into the life of drag for 26-year-old Easy Kill, better known by his drag persona, Miss Chili. Performing for 5 years on home ground and in countries such as Thailand, Tokyo, Taiwan, and Malaysia, Miss Chili speaks about how she first stepped into this industry.
There was one time I just wanted to venture into comedy and drag, and that's when I dressed up everything in red and during Chinese New Year, head to toe, and I went to a bar and everybody called me Chili, so that's how Miss Chili was born. Basically, a drag queen is when you put on a different character. Most of the time it's a female character to impersonate a female and also to entertain people. I'm just a man in a dress and
It is no surprise that drag queens face obstacles in the course of their career. Miss Chili is not an exception. However, she has received positive reactions from her crowd.
There was one time I had an opportunity to perform for a friend of mine who had a birthday party for a sister. So there are a lot of uncles and aunties and the straight audience. They took the whole thing well, and they took photos with me at the end of the day, and they see it as a form of entertainment.
Though Miss Chili has had positive reactions to her performances, this, however, may not be a common sentiment within society. We hit the streets to find out what passerbys think of drag queens and their profession.
So they sing, they dance, some of them they entertain in other forms of entertainment. So I mean, I don't have anything against them. They are just here to entertain others.
I think that they're such a special group of people. They're so special because they've been through so much, but then they find strength in what they're doing, and that's very admirable.
Because you're doing something that's really like subversive, and it takes a lot of courage to do such a thing, even in society nowadays, because people will still look like, why are you doing this?
Miss Chili has been at the receiving end of discrimination from the people around her, as she shares with us her negative experiences throughout her career.
Coming home, there was one time I had an encounter with my primary school friend who lived in the same block as me. He didn't know that I did drag, so when I was in full drag, I came back home around like 3 a.m. in the morning or around there, and then he saw me in drag for the first time, and it was quite awkward because we have to go up in the same lift, and I think from that day, I think he was a little bit homophobic, so he didn't talk to me from then.
Often, the greatest obstacles are those posed by the people closest to us. Likewise for Miss Chili, she has yet to gain full acceptance from her father.
My father has some issues with it. It took them a while, actually. They thought I was becoming a woman, but eventually they understood. I told them I'm just performing. He's still my father, so as a son, we have to respect him as a father, no matter what.
Having been ostracized, it was a long and difficult journey for Miss Chili, at times even losing the will to continue on with life.
I have thoughts of suicide also during that time, and I attempted suicide twice actually, and the second attempt my leg was out of the window, and I was ready to jump, but my mom came and saved me, shouted my name, And because of my mom, I got saved, I mean, in that sense.
Despite the mental and physical obstacles faced, Miss Chili has emerged as a stronger individual. She now holds her passion close to her heart as it is a platform for her to express and inspire others.
Drag is an outlet for me to release my creative process and also to share that piece of me through the world and to make a difference. Through drag especially, I hope that people will be inspired to come out from whatever sufferings that they are suffering at the moment, be it sexuality problems or issues with themselves or anything else that they are suffering, and also through drag I hope to encourage them.
This is your reporter, Rachel Ann Chew, reporting on Spectrum TV.
Art is a subject that requires lots of talent and even more hard work. Judging by the doodles many of us drew during art lessons back then, our skills would definitely pale in comparison to our next guest. Let's find out in Let's Talk.
We've heard of many artists boldly stepping forth to establish their career in Singapore's local art scene, a phenomenon frowned upon by many conservative minds. But today we have 22-year-old Wei Tai, a budding artist who has both the passion and talent for drawing. So how did your journey as an artist begin?
My parents, they gave me paper and I just started drawing with a pencil. And from there, I think about 3 years back, then I started realizing that, I could turn this into something more serious. You start to want to get better at drawing and illustrating in general, and finding out what form of art that you are more comfortable in, and which is the best way of expressing yourself.
So how would you describe your art style? Or like?
I would say a little abstract, because I feel that art nowadays is everybody's trying to do the same thing, and in order to stand out, you have to really let art come from within, and that's when you let your own ideas take over and not really copy wholesale, or I would say draw inspiration from others, but at the same time, it has to come from your own thoughts and how you express it.
Own experiences.
Yeah.
So have you maybe encountered any challenges as an artist?
I think starting out as an artist, people might not take you too seriously, because for me, I believe that you need to have a certain level of technical skill to really call yourself an artist and to be able to show your works to other people. So even then, people might not want to promote you as an artist. They would not want to give you the exposure, or they might not want to engage with your works, because it's a very subjective experience. So I would say there's a challenge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what does your art mean to you, like on a very personal level?
When you dig deep inside your own experiences to find out what means something to you and how you want to express it, I think that will start to take on a different level of meaning. So for me, I started being more aware of what was going on around me, and I think there's awareness of the self and also of the surroundings. So with that, I got to appreciate more of what's going on in this world and the things around me.
So is there like a particular art piece that you're very fond of, or maybe something that has impressed very deeply upon you?
I wouldn't say so as of now. I think I'm still in the journey of discovering what I really like and what I'm actually good at. And I think to really become successful as an artist is when you find your style, but that is a process that takes a lot of time.
Thank you, Wei Tai, for being with us here today. Up next, we take a look at the new generation of Ge Tai performers that's entering stage left.
Ge Tai is a cultural performance typically performed at the annual Hungry Ghost Festival. It has been commonly associated with performers in their late 40s, but in this story, Elizabeth finds out that that's not always the case, as few millennials are continually challenging that stereotype.
Synonymous with the annual Hungry Ghost Festival, Getai is believed to be a form of entertainment for both the living and the dead. But is it appreciated by young Singaporeans today?
I think honestly, people at our age won't really appreciate Getai lah. But I think maybe 10 years later, people at our age will appreciate Getai lah. Maybe next time I will perform on the Getai also.
是娱乐圈是往上哪里给那些老人家无聊，年轻人走走看看。被年轻人不看了、你们读音校的人不看这些的。
Defying this stereotype are two sisters who are part of a younger generation of Getai singers who perform to show their appreciation for the craft. Much like the lead characters of Papa Yao, Jia Xuan and Jia Wei have managed to forge a career path together in this trade.
So we actually joined this industry when we were 9 and 10 years old. So at that point of time, my parents actually brought us to many singing lessons and dancing lessons. And before we joined Getai, we were actually singing at different events like RC events.
The audience actually shows interest and support towards us by giving us a lot of applause or like doing this a lot of times. Yeah, and like although it's quite tiring for us, but when we see smiles and all this applause that we get, we feel like it's all worth it. Yeah, so it's very motivating for us. Ever since the show Getai Challenge aired on TV, you can see more parents bringing their children into Getai and even asking if they can join Getai. Yeah, so there's a lot of interest coming from the younger children to join into this community.
While the Getai Challenge served its purpose of catering to younger audiences, it seems that more can still be done.
We hope that not only that we want younger singers to come to Getai, we also want to attract the younger crowd as well, because now the crowd, right, we usually see uncles and aunties or akong and ama. So we want to attract the younger generation, and perhaps maybe the song we sing, we're gonna sing some pop songs or newer songs instead of some oldies.
Together, we share a very strong chemistry. For example, when I forget my lyrics, then she will back me up.
That's right, so usually when we are at the backstage, in the past we just rest at the backstage and we do nothing, but now we have a lot of young fans and photographers coming to the backstage asking for pictures and autographs, and then they are all very young, in their 20s and 30s, and I think that this is a very good thing because they are coming to Getai.
Yeah, and I can't perform alone. It must be always with my sister.
Yes, we are used to it already, so we usually sing together. So yeah, and we usually spend most of our time together. So
yeah.
I think
we are very close. Yeah.
It is encouraging to know that more youth are becoming involved in something deeply rooted in the Chinese culture. We believe that as the Getai stage becomes increasingly modernized, it will only capture the hearts of more millennials today. This is Elizabeth reporting for Spectrum.
Well, that's all we have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself as much as I have. Be sure to catch us again on Spectrum. Until then, I'm Clara, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.